Welcome back to another episode of Insights with Bunny Mac. My name is Vince, aka Bunny Mac. Thank you very much for joining me for another episode, another insight. I really love having you here. Thank you very much. I hope that you've been getting value from these insights because I've really been pouring myself out into these insights. And I really hope that by applying these insights, you're starting to see that paradigm shift. Because definitely in my life, there is changes happening by simply following what I've been sharing on my insights. I know so many people that out there that are sharing advice and sharing principles, but they don't really follow those basic principles in their own lives, in their own walks. So I really do practice these principles in my life, and I know out of experience that they do add value, they do make a difference. So if you haven't yet, by all means, please subscribe to the channel, like the content, drop me your feedback. I would love to hear from you. Anyone that drops feedback knows that I do get back to them personally. So thank you very much for your comments and your feedback as well. It really does touch me and it really inspires me to add more value and to deep digger and just add more value. See, I don't cut up my blunders because I want you to understand that I'm flawed. I'm beautifully and wonderfully flawed, and I love the fact that I'm flawed, and that is why I don't edit my videos. Alright, today I want to speak to you about, I went through this process of rebuilding my life and out of the building industry, having knowledge about the building industry because my dad used to be a carpenter. I know and understand the very important principle of having a firm, solid foundation. You cannot rebuild unless there is a solid foundation on which you are rebuilding. Because if you do not build on a solid foundation, then whatever you're building or rebuilding, as soon as the first adversity hits it, whether it's a thunderstorm, whether it's a life crisis, that building is going to fall apart. So, in laying my foundations, I needed to understand my core values. That is what I want to talk about today on this video, because I really want to encourage you to look at your core values and really find the foundations for your life. You can take what I'm sharing here and then practice it in your life as well, or you can really dig deeper and find something that really resonates with you. This is just to give you an insight and overview as to what has been working for me. Remember, what works for me might not work for you, but you can take the principle itself and apply that to your life. Now, before we dive into the channel, like I said, if you haven't yet, please by all means do subscribe to this channel. And if you do know someone that can actually benefit from what I'm sharing on this channel, then by all means do recommend the channel to them as well. You see, my goal is to help people grow from where they are, take them from where they are to where they are capable of being, and I do that by sharing insights from a godly perspective as well as from a life coaching perspective. I bring the two together so that I can add the best of both worlds into your life. So let's look at these principles. I basically found 5 principles when I was rebuilding my life, when I was doing the introspection, and I found what was important to me. Now, firstly, you need to understand the most important part of my life and my walk is my godly belief, my faith. So these principles are basically built around my godly faith. And I found them while I was going through the Bible and I was reading through the Bible and transitioning and trying to find myself. So the very first one that I came across was belief. Belief is so crucial to us. I think it was Shakespeare that said nothing is good or bad except that which you make it. Somewhere along that lines. But in actual fact, what he was saying was that, there isn't good or bad in the world. It's just we attribute a value to it through our beliefs, through what we believe, with our hearts, with our minds. And that is why the Bible says, in the book of Proverbs, hold your heart with all diligence, because out of it springs the issues of life. And that is it, you attribute your belief, your thinking to that particular aspect of the world or whatever you're interpreting, experiencing. And I had to look at my beliefs and I had to say, all of this that is happening to me. How did I contribute to creating that? And it came down back to my beliefs as well, what I believed in my heart. You see, when my mother was pregnant, she was transferring her negative beliefs or her beliefs, positive and negative, upon me as well, impressing that. That has been proven by research of late as well. Research is constantly proving that, when the mother is pregnant, she's imprinting on her fetus that is growing inside of her. And if you go back to the book of Psalms, David told you this more than 4,000 years ago. You've woven me together in my mother's womb. So we need to look, when we talk about our beliefs, we need to go back all the way, right at the beginning, and understand what have we been putting in place to create the current beliefs that we have in our lives. And that was crucial in my work, going back to my beliefs, understanding, and then grasping this verse, what it's actually saying, hold your heart with all diligence, for out of it springs the issues of life. So focus on your beliefs, understand your beliefs, and if you can address your beliefs, then you can address your life in a different way. Second one that I needed to look at was my thinking. We love saying in coaching, your thoughts shape your reality. It's become such a loose cliche expression, but when you go back to the book of Proverbs, it says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And that really struck me because, our thoughts really do impact on our day-to-day living. And we have the power to think. We have the power to decide what we think or what we focus on when we're thinking. We can't control all our thoughts, but we can control where our attention goes. And if you look at it, researchers are saying that you have between 35,000 to 70,000 thoughts flowing through your head on a day-to-day basis. But most of these thoughts are running on a feedback loop. And that is why we keep experiencing negativity in our lives or outcomes in our lives that we don't really want. Because we keep rerunning these same thoughts in our lives. They're running in a constant loop, in a constant pattern. 35,000 to 70,000 thoughts. How many of them are original? Think for yourself. There can't be that many original thoughts flowing through you. That is why I always teach people, think on paper. Whatever thoughts you have going through it, write it down. Look at it in front of you. You might be different. You might say, okay, maybe I need to record myself. But then listen to the audio of what you're saying. By doing that, you're going to create an awareness of thoughts that has been running around in a constant feedback loop. And you can start addressing those thoughts. That has been so crucial in shifting my life, in shifting the dimensions of what I used to believe was possible in my life. The third principle that we want to look at is speech. What are you speaking over your life? In the book of Job 22, it says, thou shalt decree a thing and it shall come to pass in your life. That really struck me hard, because I've been speaking things over my life consistently. I don't have the money to do this. I don't have the resources. I don't have the time. I don't have the experience. I don't have the understanding. I've been speaking so many negative things over my life for such a long time that working back to deconstructing and reconstructing my life in a positive way is very frustrating because it's taking time. But I have that awareness now that I can speak a new existence, a new reality in my life. And if you look at the New International Version of that particular verse in Job 22, I love the way they put it in that version of the Bible. They say, you shall decide a thing, and you shall decree a thing, and it shall come to pass in your life. That is very important. You decide what comes out of your mouth. You decide the words that you are speaking in your life. A book of Proverbs again says, the power of life and death is in the tongue. So you decide whether you're speaking life into your situation or whether you're speaking death into the situation. It's a decision and you get to make it. The fourth principle that I found in terms of rebuilding my life was, the authority that has been given to me. In the book of Corinthians, Paul says that, all authority of heaven has been given and placed under your feet. And if we go back to in the Bible to the beginning, to Genesis, God came out of heaven and he gave authority to Adam. Adam made the decision to give authority away to the devil. It wasn't taken from him, he gave it away. So this is what I love, and this is not preaching, but this is just factuals that I base my life on, based from the Bible. Jesus came down from heaven and he took all authority of heaven when he went on the cross. And he wrestled that authority back from the devil and he gave it to each and every single one of us. And he said, I've given all authority of heaven has been given to me and I'm giving it back to you. The things that I do, even greater things will you do with your life. We don't believe that. We don't believe that we can do great things. We don't believe that we have been endowed with this authority to call into existence that which doesn't even exist yet. Because we're wrestling with so many different thoughts in our minds. Understand that you have power and that you have authority. And understand one thing that coaching has been teaching for a long, long time is that there are, and this is principle number 5, resources available to you on a day-to-day basis. Use your resources. Step number 5. This was something that really struck me hard because in the book of Hebrews 1 verse 14, it says that, I have angels, I have assigned angels to you that you can send forth to complete that which you want to see completed in your life. And the way we grow and the way we think, we tend to think of angels as the supernatural beings that exist outside of reality. When in actual fact, they are very much part of our lives. If you go back and you read the book of Elijah and his servant's encounter with, I can't remember which army that was, but the servant was like so in despair. He said, surely today we're going to die. And Elijah said to him, God, open up his eyes, please. And it was like scales falling from his eyes, and he looked around and he saw 10,000 angels standing with him against this opposing army. And those angels went forth and they just blinded that whole army. You see, that is the power. It didn't just exist in ancient times. It exists right now for you and me. We have this amazing resource that we can call upon, but we know how we use it. We fail to understand how to use it in our lives. And I've been gaining greater clarity and understanding how to use this particular power, especially in my walk, in my life. And I'm seeing things come to pass by understanding and applying the knowledge that I've gained through understanding these principles that I've been delving into in my life. You see, when you send your angels forth, don't dwell back and forth. You don't plant a seed in the ground and then pull it out after a while to see if the roots are growing. You trust and you believe that it's growing. You go on watering the seed and you go on with your day-to-day activities. That is the same in terms of what you're trying to achieve in your life. You speak it into existence. You trust that the angels will go forth and bring forth that which you have decreed over your life. It will come to pass. And then you go on with your day-to-day living. Don't dwell on what you have already decreed, because you're basically nullifying that in that sense. So I hope that you've gotten value from these principles. These are 5 principles that I practice in my life. You might tweak them differently and just to find, that firm foundation that you need to build in your life. But that is what I'm trying to get across to you today. Build a firm foundation. And here's a bonus extra for you, The Word of God says in the book of Genesis, when the people were building the Tower of Babel, God came from heaven down to the earth and said, these people are single-minded in what they are doing. There is nothing that they cannot achieve. That is a powerful principle that I want to leave with you. When you are single-minded in what you want to do, when you're not looking left or not looking right, when you are focused on the goal, you will achieve it. I hope you got value from this one. I hope that you really took from this one. I would love to hear your comments. I would love to hear your feedback. And like I said, if you haven't yet, please subscribe to the channel, because I'm looking to add more value into your life. I'm hoping to help get more people on board so that we can show YouTube people are serious about changing their lives and increasing, improving the value of their lives. So for now, this is Benny Max saying, change your thinking, change your world.